I'm Pauline. I'm the technical advisor for Sabre in Western Australia, and today I'm with Mikelah Jayde in her studio.
Hey!
And we're going to do the face framing technique, and we're really excited to bring this live from Western Australia. So let's get started.
Hey, I'm Mikelah Jayde. I am Joico's guest artist for 2021 WA. I am going to be going over the must-have face frame. I feel like this is something that's super trending at the moment, and the best thing about this is it can be customized and catered to any type of style, any type of person. I just feel like it's your final touches of a colour. It can really polish up a colour. It can be very personalised. As well. So I'm obviously going to go, this is my beautiful model Deja. So we are going to go through, you can see we've already got about 6 months regrowth, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to go over and I'm going to show you just like really super easy placement and to get full effect as well. This technique can only be about 10-15 foils, so it can be super quick, done in the salon. It's pretty good for most levels as well of hairdressing if you're starting colouring. And it can be a real express service in the salon as well. So you can see at the moment with my model, we've got some nice regrowth. And when we pull it forward, we've got a lot of depth coming through here. So obviously with any type of balayage, you want to make it real pop. And everywhere the client actually sees is mainly around the face and underneath. So this technique can be really quite easy and give you a real luxurious kind of effect. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to be lightening and finding out where she parts, and then putting a few express foils through here to help make that pop. So when she wears that forward, she will feel all over lightness. I've just sectioned up the top section just to get that out of the way because I feel like that's my dead zone. And you don't have to fluff about that too much. And you can see I've just done like a diamond section through here, and I have pinpointed where our natural part is. So we actually part it in the middle or slightly off center. So this one's really, really good because what you have to do is you have to find out exactly where the hair parts and then go from there. And the best thing about this is we actually have a bit of a bang coming through here. So it makes it a little bit more kind of difficult, but not difficult. You're gonna have to be really strategic with placement. Obviously if the hair was all long, it'd be quite easier. But this is going to be a really good technique to have a look. I'm going to mix up the colours now. Do apologise. I get super nervous at first, and then after a while I'm just like, shake it off girl, shake it off. So today I am using Blonde Life powder. We're working with a natural level 5 with existing light on the ends, about an 8 level. So I do want to lighten up the ends and give it a bit more of a pop, and I do want to obviously lighten up the roots through there. So I'm going to do 2 different mixtures. I'm going to do one on her natural colour. So obviously with mix ratio, it's 1:1 or 1:2, just depends. I do find the Blonde Life powder is quite fluffy, gives a really good fluffy texture. So I do like to kind of go from 1:1 or 1:1.5. It just depends. Again, you can customize your mixation formula as well. I just find if it's 1:2, it's just too fluffy. I don't have enough control for this technique. It's a bit better when the lightener is a bit more thicker, but not too thick. It's like Goldilocks, isn't it? So yeah, so I've done 30 grams. Do that, and then I'm going to do another 15. Wow. Spot on. Now, Blonde Life lightener, never mix, because you'll fold the lightener and it'll just get too fluffy. So the technique is to fold the lightener. So just folding it over the parcel, bringing it in, and then it should just start to mix. And you can see the texture of the liner as well. It's just super fluffy. It's a beautiful product. Beautiful product. Yes. Then what I'm going to use on the ends is free plate. This is my favourite product of all time. I don't use it to free plate, like lighten up ends. I actually wrap it up in foil. I find the reason why is I find it so gentle on the hair. So you can, you could probably target hair that's quite porous without jeopardizing the health of it too much. So I do use it a lot in my blondes, and I just want to like clean it out just to make it pop a little bit. So today I am going to be using that on the ends, and I'm going to do it with a 20 vol. I do find you have to kind of up your developer slightly because it is really super soft. So pop my grams in. Again, so this mixation is 1 to 1 to 1 to 2. Customizing your mixation formula. I am going to do 1 to 2 today because I do find it goes a bit more like thick, like a clay, because it is a clay lightener. So I'll be able to spread that a little bit more. 80 grams, so 60 grams. Now with this one, you don't have to fold, you can just mix. Getting a whisk, I love using a whisk for my bleaches and any colours. It just saves the brush. And there I go.
Okay.
Yes. So, where I'm going to start is, now before, I always like prep the hair before you start lightening. So what I like to do in my studio is I always prep the hair with the Defy Damage Pro series. It is probably the best product I have used. It helps save the hair, so it prevents breakage up to 80%. You don't have to change the mixation in your formula, which is fantastic. You can just set it at that. It helps with even lift. It helps with colour longevity as well. So it actually helps lock in your colour and toner as well afterwards, so they get longer out of it. It also has the most amazing cosmetic feel to it as well. I do find with other brands that I have used, you don't get that feel that they want, that the client wants. Every client wants to leave and they want to pay for a treatment that they can actually feel, and that's the best thing about this
Pro Series.
Yeah, Pro Series, really. So again, when you are spraying, shake your can really well, pull the hair out. We've got super long hair today, which is fantastic. Spray and just small spurts, just down. Give it a nice brush. You can generally see the difference in the hair as well once you actually spray it on. And just brushing, so it's really easy to apply. Sometimes if I don't have any time, I'll get my apprentices to prep the hair. They'll come in, they'll spray it for me, and I'll just come whip in and do the colour, so it's really easy.
Duncan Richards is on. He says he can't wait to see your colour. And Jessie loves Defy Damage.
Woo! Yes. Probably the best. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you quickly what I'm doing here. So you're going to split your, depending if you do any foils underneath, it's not necessarily a must, but it is a good thing. See how we've got so much regrowth? I just want to pop that out. So when she does wear it up, and then when she wears it down, that just feels a little bit lighter as well. Super easy. It's probably a matter of 2 to 3 foils as well.
Sorry, can you just show that bit again, because I didn't get in with the camera. That you're
so
going
when we wear our hair forward, we can see how much depth we have here. So I'm going to just do a few foils through here. So when we do wear our hair forward or wear it up, you're not going to have a big dark spot, big dead spot through there, and she's going to feel like she's a lot lighter without doing too many foils. Good. So where I'm going to take my sectioning is, I've got to do from down here to my ear. And just get that out of the way. And I'll come back to that side and later. Then what I want to do is I want to take that section, get that out of the way. Don't need that. Sectioning is a big must, I find. I feel like if you section your, if you use clips and you really section things out of the way, you're going to have a lot more control with your colour work and actually know where your placement. You won't get lost halfway through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up. You can see how much dark I've got there. And I'm literally just going to do a nice section from there, just right on the hair. So again, this technique is very customized to everyone. Generally, if I've got a blonde, I'll do the foils to the root. If I have a level 6 and under, generally they don't want to have a big blonde piece coming through there. So it is sometimes good just to kind of keep a bit of their natural, kind of feather it down. You don't have to. Again, if they want to have that real like 90s pop splice coming through, put it to the root. So again, just obviously that comes down to consultation with your client, figuring out what they want, if they want depth, if they want a lot of more lightness, and customizing it from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my section out and I'm going to do just some nice textured weave. So you can see how I've got equal out to what it is. So you can imagine when you wear your hair up, you're just going to have that nice softness coming through. So if you do it too close together, you're going to have a big blonde patch. And that's what I feel like where some of the face frames that myself was doing, that I was finding it was just getting too like blocky. It wasn't that natural feathered feel. And also saturating it to the roots too much. So bringing your section down so you can slightly back comb. I'm just going to flick it up because I'm just going to leave that little bit of that shadow. So grabbing your Lightroom 120, putting through there. I love using the foil board for mine. I feel like I've got a lot more control. And whenever your neck pivots in, I feel like you kind of lose it a little bit. And with this technique, you need a lot of tension. So I'm going to start with my blonde light. Bringing that down. Saturating the hair where I want maximum lift. And then feathering it up, always cornering my brush on an angle, and feathering it up to that. Again, if you get a little bit of lightener, no bother, you just wipe it off. It dries out as well, because you just do so like such less product sometimes when you're flicking it up, it won't be saturated where you won't get any maximum lift. So, and what you can see, I should use the wide foil, but that's okay. So you can see that I'm actually kind of crossing it over into the pre-existing hair and feathering it through a little bit. I just find sometimes if I don't do that blend, I will have like a bit of a line where it hasn't. I don't mind intermixing those lighteners as well. So again, next time I will use my wide foil. So fold that over, fold that over. There's no need to do the underneath bit of the foil, I don't find, because you've already placed it perfectly. I find if you kind of move it around, you'll get like lightener pop out, or it won't be covering the foil. So I've just done that, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a nice splash. Give me a holler if we love splices. I splice like nearly every single one of my clients. Like, it's the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly backcomb this. So I don't want it to be saturated through to the roots. Now backcombing just gives it a bit more of that seamless blend. If you're not used to doing like balayage and everything like that, it's almost that foolproof, bit of a safety blanket. Because when you obviously comb it down, you're just going to get that nice feathered feel to there. So bringing that out, using my wide foil, coming through there. Now generally what I will do if I've got like a big section, I'll actually paint a bit of lightener on the foil board. It saturates on the bottom and it just gives it a bit more grip, I would say. So pulling this out and pulling that down like that. So you can see I can still see through that. Lightener. And then applying. Now generally it depends like where you want to see your lightness and where you start your blend. If they want a lot of depth through underneath, then obviously start a bit lower. But I'm going to bring this up. So probably about an inch away from the roots. I'm blending that. So you can see how you're getting that little crossover through there. I will flick that down, making sure it's all nice and saturated, the product. It dries up in the foil sometimes, so saturating the product will get maximum lift as well. Getting my 20 free play, and I'm just going to roll this in.
Jess says it's a great tip to put lightener on the foil first.
Yes, it just gives it, you ever done it where you've like done this huge thick section and then like you haven't really blended it too far in, or like you can't get a grip on it, it's great for that.
Yeah.
So with this technique, I've just done 2, and I feel like 2 is going to be more than enough. What I am going to do with this bottom bit, I'm going to tip it out a little bit. Obviously, when you pull it down, you want maximum lightness on the ends and the tips. So tipping this out is super important for your look, depending if they want to have like quite a bit of a pop. If my client wants a big pop, I will always tip it out. So again, popping this down. I just back comb it slightly, and then what I'll do is but you can see how I'm kind of doing it just below under there. So when we work, we've still got a lot of that depth in between those foils, which is going to give variation, texture, and dimension. Just popping that on. Just got a little bit here. The best thing about using the free plane foil, it doesn't really jeopardize the condition of the hair, so you can kind of leave it on for longer. There's like full processing time through there. It's just all the goodies in it, isn't it? So I've done that section. I'm going to pop this hair down, but I'm going to keep it out of the way. So you can see I've only just done about 3 foils through there.
Yep.
So what we're going to do with the front, which I'll get you to come over here and have a look. So parting is in the middle or just off to the side. Now with something like this, you have to find out exactly where their hair parts. If they're one of those clients that kind of go, oh, I part on the side and also to the middle, you can still do this effect. It's just a matter of going around and just being a bit more cautious where your lightness is. But generally people stick to a parting, which is really good. So we've just got slight off or to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find, again, this technique is so visual, depending on how much lightness they want to pop through there. They want saturated or just really super fine. I'm going to do a bit more of a pop, dramatic pop, so you can kind of get the gauge of like how many foils you need to put in and what type of effect it does. So we actually have a bit of a bang, and bangs are really important to kind of pick out, or if they're going to cut a bang into their hair, definitely advise to pre-cut the bang in slightly so you know exactly where it's going to be. Saves time as well, like you don't want to be placing it and be like, oh, I wish I did that. So if they want to cut, figure out where the bang is, or if they cut the bang, do the bang first. So you can see I can kind of pull this out a little bit. We've got the bang coming through here, and this side too. So you can kind of see there, where I've got all that thickness through there. This colour technique is very visual at the same time. There's no wrongs, there's no rights.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out there. So this is her bang. So obviously we want to have a lot of depth coming through here. We don't want to saturate it where she's got. Fine thing about face frames is we feel like what I used to do is like saturate the roots and go down. You end up with this huge giant chunk around the face. But you don't want that. You want the lightness all through the ends and the tips. So figuring out what you need to do. So what I will always do is I'll take my section right on the parting on an angle. And then what I will do is I can figure out there is I'll take a C, almost like a bit of a section through here. Because obviously when we wear our hair down, this is the bit around their face that they actually see, where they're going to get that pop through there. You don't need to saturate it through here. So you can imagine coming through there. Always get that little bit of that angle through here as well. When they tie their hair up, I like to have a little bit of a foil through there. So getting that out of the way, with her bang, I am going to just temporarily pop this little bit up here. Just that corner. Obviously, whenever we cut bangs or fringes, we generally always take a little triangle section. So what I'll do is I'll just take that triangle section up the top, because obviously when I wear my, you'll see later on when I do the foils, I will visually see where I need to tip out or add a bit more lightness in for it to blend. So at this point, I'm actually just going to do a section like this. So you can see how my sectioning goes on the fringe, got a parting there, goes up like that, and then down like that. So what we're going to do, again, get all the sections out of the way. It's just easier for you to foil. Ask me any questions if this is confusing with all the sections and everything like that. But generally once the foil's in, it'll all make sense. You'll be like, oh, yes, that's it. So, taking your section directly on the hairline, like so. If they've got pivots or hairline growths, obviously customizing, if you've got a peak, taking that a bit more further down, because you have to get that. You don't, if they've got a peak, make sure you always follow that peak. You'd hate for them to wear it down. They've got this big dark spot through there. Our hairline is pretty perfect at the moment, so we'll be fine. So getting a sectioning like that. Make sure it's nice and tight. If it's blonde, obviously taking it nice and tight on the hairline. We are still keeping a bit of a shadow root, so it doesn't matter too much. And you're following the same process at the back. So doing your weave. So it's a bit separated, more of a textured weave. I always just give it a bit of back comb just to get a bit of those baby hairs that I don't need there. And then what I'll do is I'll always start, if it's blonde, I'll always do the root, but I'll saturate the product at least 1 inch or 2 inches underneath my blending line. Just gives you more control. You don't want to start blending and then saturate it because it starts to move. So I will saturate this down like that. And then I will angle the brush and just give it a nice little flick up. Again, being really careful with any hairline because the cuticle is obviously more finer around the hairline, so it doesn't need a higher roll. I will always use a lower roll. Because they are a darker level, I'm going to stick to my 20 because I can always just take them out if I need to. But keeping in mind, if they're quite blonde, always drop down that roll around the hairline because it doesn't need as long. So my next one, so pretty much doing exactly what I did last time, I'm going to take a slice. So I got my slice through there. And then what I'll do is I will back comb this. Now again, the more you back comb, the more of a blend you'll be. So if I wanted to like saturate all through here, I'll really back comb this. I don't want to have like a panel starting here, so I do want to keep a bit of that depth coming through. If they want more of a panel, then obviously go closer to it. So figuring out where you want to start your blend, generally I'll always kind of stack it where I'll bring it back, so you can imagine it will graduate into the more depth when it goes backwards. So popping this through, a little tip as well, if the hair is so clean, get a bit of hairspray and just like spray it back. So again, I like to use a foil board for this. Bring this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my blend through here. Don't want it too heavy through there. So starting there, and then just feathering that up through there. Generally what I will do is I'll always angle this on the corner and I'll just kind of like highlight it a little bit further up around the hairline. So when they wear it up, you can see a bit more lightness graduating down.
So you're bringing it higher on the right hand side?
Yeah, higher when it comes to the face. The whole thing with face framing, it's contouring the face and contouring your colour. So contouring can be for anything. You're customizing, you're flattering, you're making the face and the colour more flattering. So obviously if they've got like higher cheekbones, you can start to customize your colour with that as well, bringing depth to shape it in further, bringing lightness to bring it more out and opening it up. Yeah. There's no wrong, there's no right. So again, taking my next section, bringing this out. I'm just going to really back comb. You can see how I've got a bit more lightness coming through here. So I won't be doing my blonde knife 20 roll through there, I'll be doing the free play.
Oh, I've got a question.
Go!
Tiffany wants to know, do you find it better to back comb from underneath the section or on top?
On top. I always do it on top. Like you can do it underneath. If you want a bit more of a seamless blend, if you're doing a really thick section, take it both ends. Because you can imagine what you're doing on the top, you're just getting the top surface. And if it's really thick, you're not really blending underneath. But I guess it just depends. I always just go for the top. The thicker sections, I do both. So we're on to the next one, and we're going to just keep graduating it lower and lower and lower, and more saturating the ends through here. So you can imagine when she wears it down, it's tipping all out. So starting my blend here, and then just bringing that up. Again, saturating the product.
And this is a back comb splice?
Yeah, or yes, I pretty much back comb all my slices.
Yeah.
Or any foilage techniques, I'll always back comb it.
Another question
Go.
from Megan Nelson. She wants to know, she says, I struggle with the mum clients and their baby hairs around the face.
Yeah.
Any tips of sectioning? Any type of sectioning, any tips?
Yes. So basically with the baby hairs, I will always say to my clients with the baby hairs, the best just to probably leave it. The hair is so brittle and fine. If you start to foil it, you can get dots, which that's what you'll notice. You'll get like big kind of dots through there. So obviously communicating with your client and recommending them like, we want to grow this out. Let's keep a bit more of that shadow around the baby hairline. Generally they are quite lighter. If the client is really, really dark, then obviously you do have to lighten it up somehow. But I just wouldn't really, I just find when you start to bleach it, they don't really go further. It's like, it's like educating your client just to say, let's leave this for now, let's customize the color to be able to grow them out, and then we can focus on that. You don't want it too spotty. And generally, most of the time I will do a root tap, where I'll just kind of deepen and smoke out the roots. So sometimes you don't actually really have to do those little baby hairline folds. So, getting my next section, coming through here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle this. I'm going to just like pop a little bit of highlights. I'm coming up to the hairline through here, up there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know if this doesn't make any sense to anyone, and I can explain it more in detail as well.
So how many foils have you done there on that section?
I've only done 3, and this is probably my last section from there. Again, flicking that down. Does anyone else use free play to foil?
No answers yet.
No. So you can see my blend through there. I left quite a bit, and I've just feathered that up, spread it so slightly around the hairline.
I do like the free play in the mesh.
Yeah,
Here where you
that
can
is
go.
nice.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is, you can see how I've left this little bit under here. Now I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to leave that. I'm going to actually lighten this up. So you can imagine when she wears her hair done, you've got that lightness. You don't just have that off colour. If you haven't lightened it, I want it to be quite a bright pop. So always remembering to pick up the pieces in between. So popping that down and then just like flicking it up. Doesn't have to be special as long as the ends are saturated, because it doesn't mind getting multiple tones coming through there. The whole thing with balayage, it's like having variation in there. Nothing's solid.
Yep.
Nothing solid about balayage. So I am up to my top section, my party. So keep in mind, like, this is kind of your, like, every part is important. Your most important part is the top bit, because that is what they see. So you can, sometimes I'll just even just like, if I don't have much time, I'll back home, I'll just like free play that section, because it doesn't mind if you've got a bit of depth through there in some balayages.
So another question, why do you use free play instead of normal lightener?
Yeah, so it is softer. I found that it's just like super soft in the foil. It doesn't jeopardize the condition of the hair, even if the hair is super porous. So I use it with every single one of my blondes, even to the point if they were my blonde and they still wanted to make that pop. And you know that not putting 10 of any normal bleach, it will just kind of jeopardize the condition. The free play is so soft that it doesn't. So I get lift, but then it's super soft and I'm not getting any breakage or anything like that. I have done a 20-20. I always feel like up the lift if you feel like you need to. Again, if they're blonde on a 9-10 level, you only want to pop it up half a shade. So that can be done with a 5 or a 10. I always go for a 10. So we're going to have the section through the hairline. So you can see how I've got this through here. You can always even really point this like that, which I'd probably recommend. So you can imagine you're only going to have a little bit of a little bit of the foil to the root, and the rest is all going to graduate out. So what I will do is I will print my section, I'll just take that on. Again, always going onto the parting. The section, and I will bring this out. And you can actually see how your hairlines are actually a lot lighter than your natural through the back as well. So that's why I always drop it down a level. Today I'm not. I will just pull them out. So again, your weave around your hairline is always the same. It's just a textured weave. Nice textured weave. The only reason is when they tie their hair back, they've still got a bit of that variation with the in-between colour, and it's not like a block. If you do it too close together, you don't get that. So, going onto the hairline, my little tip with I love to take huge big sections. So what I do is I'll start my comb, you can see I've pivoted it here on the hairline, and then what I'll do is I will feed it out, and then I will just literally feed the hair onto it. You ever do the foil and it's just like, it just cuts off? So I'm going to go on to the hairline more because I want to have a bit of that pop through there. Flicking that over, getting that nice and tight. Blondes, I will always take it really quite close on the hairline. Again, customizing your colour to what they want. If they want more depth, do it lower. I don't believe in unnecessary lightening hair. They're not going to get more growth out of it. Folding that over. And then I will just literally cross that over. And that's my hairline foil. Again, I'll always pick this out and spray play this. Even if it's like the tiniest amount of hair. Tip for a good blend is always flicking it up and going against the grain, flicking it up. Less product is better. If you have a lot of product and you saturate it, I just find it can get really like blocky. You can always change it as well. Get your comb and just like lightly brush it out, or with your finger just slightly feather it out. If there's less product, it'll dry out eventually as well. So, taking my next section. So I am going to do a slice again. Now this is where you'll start to back comb. Again, exactly what you're normally doing. So working that way around. And then I will start to make my blend further and further out.
I have a question for you. Just from me. Do you have a set amount of foils for your fringe section, or are they all different?
They're always different depending. So I've got more of a bang here, so I'm going to have to really focus on like lightening that bang bit so that can have a bit more foil. With the hair's longer, you can use less because obviously the hair when it's longer just falls down. So there's no point of like taking that further down. It's just around the hairline. So getting my section, now my tip is to always make sure you saturate the hair like 2 inches to 1 inch down from your blend. You got way more control over it. And then flicking your brush, so you can see how I've basically got majority of my product up. I will flick my brush in the corner and then I will go like that. Now you want to give it that nice like flow, so having it closer to the hairline and then bringing that out. Again, not going directly to the hairline on the second foil. Rule of thumb, as always has been, it's 2 to 3 foils to the roots. Otherwise, what you'll do is it'll just eventually come like a patch through there. And then you're going against your balayage or your face frame. The best thing about this technique is I even use this as like a flash like lighting. So like say I've got a client and they want to have like a pop of colour around the hairline. I'll do this technique and then I'll tone it with like a Joko intensity, like another like a pink or something like that with brunette around throughout the rest. I will also, again, I'm taking my splice through here as well. So you literally you're splicing through, taking each section and splicing through. This technique's really good for you get that brunette or the person that's been dark for years and years and years, and they're like, I want to go lighter, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. And generally, how many times have you gone through and lightened the whole hair and they're like this, I hate it, and then you've got to go back? This is a really good technique for them to feel lighter, because obviously the first thing that your client sees and feels is their hairline. You could do a black down there, they won't really see that, will they? So lightening it up, even if it's like a shade or so, and just adding a few foils. You don't have to do as much, maybe just more do around the hairline, because then when they visually look at themselves, they're like, oh, I'm a lot lighter. They can gauge whether they like the colour or not. This is a good tester. So again, I've got my next section, I backcombed. Now each section I'm bringing it lower and lower and lower and lower because I want the depth to layer on top of the last lightener so you get the contrast and the blend. So again, and then I will flick it up. You can see how much I've left through there. If they're lighter, I'll bring it up, or if they want more of a pop, I'll bring it up. We're brunette, so you don't have to like go through an over lighten too much. Sometimes, for me to get a gauge of where my blend gloss was, I'll bring it down, and then I'll go like that. So when I'm doing my other side, I'm like, oh, how far did I bring that down? And I'll just look at the other side and I mimic it. The best thing about it is you're mirroring each section. Just mirroring, mirroring, mirroring. So going back on your last section to figure out where did I start blending that, what did I do. So you can see how I've got to this bit where I put the point through here. And what I will do is I'll be like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I will just take the section through here and really back home. I'm not going to do the lightness up to the top. I'm going to more focus it underneath because that is going to be that money piece and that pop when she brings that through. So saturating the long bits behind the bang, you don't want them to have it where they're just their bang is light and it's like stops through here. So again, visually looking at it all. And I know coming up to here, through here, the hairline, obviously it goes less hair. You've got to take that further back through there. Right, and then what I'll do is I'll get my clothes on.
I've got Robert here and he said all the time.
Oh.
That was to using the free play clay in a foil.
Oh, Robbie!
Sorry, I'm being late with that.
Any other questions, Robbie? So again, I've literally left a lot of the root. I don't want to lighten it up too much. I don't want to have a pattern through the back where she wears her hair down or up or half down. You still want to keep the majority of her natural as the root stretch. So we've got that there. Again, this technique, it is a lot quicker than obviously what I'm showing you. Because once you've got it, you section it and you just like smash it out really. Yes, there's a little bit of thinking to do with it, but then once you've got it, you've pretty much got it. So you can see I've got my bang through here, and all I really want to do is I don't want to lighten through there. I don't want it to have too much lightness through there. I want to keep the depth and only have a feather and a sprinkle around the hairline. So I'm actually just going to back comb, take this section in half. I back comb and I'm just going to literally free the tip where she's already got the lightness. If you feel you want more of a pop, getting your section out, again, this is the importance of sectioning your sections so you can actually got more of an idea of where you're going to go next. Say if she wants more lightness coming through, I could even free play through here on the tips. So she's going to have more saturated through there. But I'm not going to today. I'm just going to do this. So got my bang. I've pre-sectioned that all out so I know exactly just to go up.
Robert's asked as well, what would be the difference between doing a spliced foil and a weave?
So obviously weave, I always do splices when I want to saturate and get maximum lift. I do weaves when I want more of a natural textured effect. We've got a lot of dark, so therefore a splice is probably a bit more of a necessity to do. You're going to cover more section and do less. What is it? Work smarter, not harder. Yeah, how many times have you got? Prime example, I use splices if my client wants to go blonde, like, and she's really dark, like a brunette. I'll just do a full head of splices. And then tone it. You can do a lot of customizing your colour with toning. So again, I'm going to grab my section, I'm going to literally place this here, put a foil on there, bring this, and just place it gently. And it's a lot easier. And and then just literally click this up a little bit slightly. Again, I'll bring this down so I can actually see where I'm going to free plate my fringe on the other side. But pretty much, even when you do something like this, you can actually see what type of effect it's going to be. How I've graduated it down. I've done higher through here, I've tipped this all out. You can imagine it's just going to literally flow, and a lot of the lightness is all through the tips. Last section. I'm going to do a little bit of the 20 just on through this band bit because I won't get maximum lift with the free plate. Also, I'll always say to people, when you do your free play, don't put on the natural colour if you want maximum lift. Do a normal bleach because I just find it just goes really quite warm. I find I get best results when it's on pre-lightened hair. Pre-lightened hair, if they've got cup toner build up or build up on it from toning, then that's really good as well. It just kind of cleanses and pops it out. So you can see what I've done here. And generally when you do balayage, you've always got your dead zone, your diamond and dead zone section through here where it brings that contrast through there. So it's good to have this. You could go through and you can foil through the top if you wanted to. This is just a really easy, quick, like express way to get maximum colour out of doing less. Any questions so far?
Everyone's quiet at the minute.
So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to mimic what I've done on the other side. So I am just going to quickly do this other side. Again, you kind of already know what you've got to do. Taking this. Do we feel like we'll probably use this in the salon? This technique?
It's definitely very current anyway.
Very current. Customised for any type of hair as well, I feel.
And a less is more type of technique.
It's a less is more. Like with the whole balayage as well, I was finding I was like over lighting too much. Like you need the depth. You need contrast for the colour to be able to look good and to get that result. People now these days are showing me such big like texture and variation and you know all this stuff with their colours, with their balayages. And the tip is have just as much lightness to just as much dark. That's what I found. It should be equal parts.
So there's Tiff here, she says 100%.
Yep.
Is it? And Robert wants to know again, can you just free play the rest of the ends instead of foil?
100%. If they're quite light already, like what I personally found with my free play, you can free play the ends on dark, it will go warm. You won't get like a really white or really light lift, personally. But if they've got quite light or you want to just pop it open two levels, even maybe 3, I feel like you get a really good lift. Or blonde, it's amazing for blonde. I will go through and I'll do like a face frame pop and I will go through and leave their natural colour because I like to use a lot of natural colour for my colours. And I'll just like free play the whole hair and it takes me nothing to do. But then they feel like they've had a full balayage service and I'll charge for a full balayage service as well. Because you're still lightening all the hair, you're still toning, you're still doing all that, but it's just really super quick. as well, I do find it quite foolproof. Because what I will do is I love to tone with my my Mikelah Jayde creams. So what I'll do is I'll kind of zone tone a little bit. I'll do a fade. So if you do, say heavens a bit, if you kind of like saturated with foil, you brought it up too much, you can fix it by just doing like a root fade toner, or like toning and just like deepening it down slightly. Like I like to smoke the roots out. If I feel like it's too raw at the front, I'll do a level, if they're quite blonde, I'll tone it with like a level 9M or something like that, or a B, just to give it a bit of that smoke, so it's not that raw blonde. I have found with a lot of my clients, they'll show you a photo and they'll be like, I love this face frame. And I mean, it's the chunkiest face frame you've ever seen. And you do it on them and they're like this, oh, it's too light, I don't really like it, it's too much on my face, because that's the first thing that they see. So what I with them, I'll always recommend, if this is a client that's doing it for the first time, I always recommend to smoke out the roots or have her depth coming through on the roots. It's just a bit of a safety blanket, and then you can say to them, hey, next time we'll go through and we'll do it closer to the root. Again, we've got baby hairs here. I'm just going to bring them full up. A little bit of hairspray doesn't hurt as well.
Mikelah, could you tell us some of your favourite toning colours? Yeah,
okay.
formulas.
I love NWBs. They are probably my absolute favourite. And I like to mix it. So NWBs is fantastic if you've got a client that comes in and they've got lots of warmth and you want to counteract the warmth, but you also want it to blend because they've got cool colours as well. I just find NWBs that perfect happy medium. It blends the colour, makes it look nice and shiny. SBs, I love SBs, and I also love mixing NWBs with SBs.
And is that in the DD creams or like?
I love the DD creams. DD creams, they're so shiny. I love my liquid demis. I did watch Caroline's thing. I actually love to use my liquid demis as a low light. Or if I'm adding variation into a blonde, which I will actually be doing something on that as well, coming up soon.
Any other questions?
Also ask how much would I normally charge at a salon service like this?
Oh yeah.
Generally, depending on what they do, they kind of with a colour like this, I'd probably add on a few more. Like I'd probably free play tip or do something like that just to give it a bit more of a customised colour or blend, I would say. But generally, something like this would be like a touch-up balayage. It could be probably range from like 130 plus. I will always quote and add in my Defy Damage or my treatments to add into there. Not just because of an upsell, but I do find I get better lift, I get an even result, and it helps lock in the colour as well. So if I'm doing colour correction, obviously toners don't last as long on colour correction, so adding that service just help lock it in is like so important for me. So again, I'm just mimicking what's on the other side.
Okay, I've got a question from Megan Nelson. Have you ever used the BA series and 5 volt to tone blondes?
No, I haven't. I haven't. What would you use it for? Like, have you? Have they?
Have you, Megan? So the BA is permanent, but...
I've done it on dolly head and I really love the result, which is good. But sometimes I like to push boundaries as a stylist, like I really, really do. But sometimes I become a creature of habit, and I will go through and I'll stick to the ones that work because I know damn well that they'll work. Like, I remember I went a long time without touching free play. I went years without touching free play. Because I was like, oh, I'm just not sure about that. Base breaker, that was a hidden treasure that I didn't touch for ages, and then I realised it's probably the best thing that you'll ever use in your life. Like, so good.
Well, let me just go around this way.
So again, getting my bang out the way. Marrying it up with that section as well, so you can see how I've done like a diamond through there. It should just literally mirror. Pivoting it further up to the sides where the hairline goes shorter. Find your section if you can. So again, taking my lace.
So in an ordinary service, how long would this take you to from start to finish?
Like half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour. Not even. Once you get it, you do it. Every client's pretty much the same. The only thing that changes when you're doing this is your blend and like figuring out that, again, that comes down to consultation, figuring out how much depth they want, if they want lots of lightness. So again, you can see there's that baby hair that I've literally just combed up. Less through here, less through there. Nothing worse than getting a brush tangled in with the hair. I find a swirling motion is really, really good. Just flicking that colour back into the hair, that hair back into the colour. So again, I'm doing it and I'm mimicking. So going through and like just checking out what I've done last one. I'm like, is okay, yep. I've gone like 2 and then I've started to blend it up through there. So again, picking up the colour and then figuring out where the short bit is there, so she's got a bit there. Sometimes fringes can't, they're not always even, are they? Depends on the hair growth pattern and everything. So I'm going to pick out a little bit more through this side as well. So a bit further back here. Because you can imagine when she wears it forward, I'm saturating all those ends. If I didn't pick up enough through here and left it, what she'll have is she'll have this beautiful big piece through the bang. When she wears her hair down, it's not going to blend out. So always take a step back, look at your colour, look at where you need, and then go from there as well.
Good tip. Okay, Megan says, yes, but when I mix, sometimes I let it sit because of the ammonia content. So but I really like the toneful head of oils, and it almost works as a perfect base breaker. Yeah, that's totally true. And you can mix the 5-vol with the permanent in Lumi Shine, but yeah, just obviously. Don't forget the ammonia, let it breathe for 5 minutes.
Always, even if I'm toning with 0.
Yeah.
If I'm toning with 0, I will let it sit for 5 minutes and let it oxidize so it doesn't break the base. Sometimes I still do find it does kind of slightly break the base. But I mean, sometimes that's really good if they're super dark and you want to tone it and you don't want them to have, like, they want that classic full head of foils. There's heaps of little toners that I use that are a bit different.
It's all about getting creative.
Girl, I'm all for pushing the boundaries. Like, within reason, Duncan, within reason.
Rules are meant to be.
Within reason. So again, I'm coming up to the last section through here, and I'm just going to grab this bit through here. So I'm going to have maximum lift when she wears it down, I think. Pop this all back, get that all out of the way. I'm a scoozy. Don't ever foil with me. My girls hate foiling with me because I'm like, So again, getting that in. Making sure you're not twisting the sections together because you're not going to have control over your section. Make sure it's always nice and flat. Sometimes I will also pop the client's head just back slightly if I can see. Us as hairdressers, we like bend, break our neck, like everything. Move your client. That's why you've got them. Like they will move for you. I know one of my boys that works here, Robbie, I always catch him and he's like this foiling or like trying to get all in there.
Yeah, totally. The chairs move.
They move, and so does your client's head.
Yeah.
So I'm up to my last section through here. So again, reassessing, don't go through and just like feel like you've got to do it. There's going to be times where I'll do a lot more foils on one side and less on the other because they might have thicker or their growth pattern of their hair or whatever. Again, I will literally have a look at where I am. So I've got my bang here, you can literally see it. You can see what I've done there. Taking that in that diamond section through there. So you can see how that will fall and then blend like that. So taking that. Really blending that out. So I've done a little bit more foil through this this technique only because we've got more of a bang, so I actually need to saturate that hair more. I did do this on a blonde model as well, and the finish was like absolutely amazing. She had like 6 month regrowth. She wanted to blend out her regrowth, make it pop. So you can see I'm actually teasing underneath and then I'm teasing on top because we've got a bit more of a thicker section through there. So yes, I do tease underneath. So again, pulling my hair out in the same direction as what I did last time. You can see where I've done that quite low through there. And that's the best way of mimicking it out as well, just actually pulling your foil where you did do your blend. So again, I will secure this.
We're just coming into the last few minutes now.
Yes.
So you're almost done.
Questions?
Yeah, has anyone anything to ask Mikelah before we finish up?
That's me done.
Is that it?
That's me done.
Yay. Let's have a look. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yes. So you can literally see, prime example, so this is all the hair tied back and off. And you can see it's almost like you're contouring around. Doesn't have to be the back, but because we've had such dark depth through there, I want to really make it pop. Again, you're doing less foil and she'll feel like she's got a full new colour.
Perfect. You're getting loads of likes and love hearts.
Yeah. So you can imagine, even when I bring this down like this, forward, you can imagine she's going to have the lightness coming through here, because then my pivot, you can actually see my foil through there, and then the depth over layering and smoking out through there, like that.
Yay. Okay. Alright, well, that's it.
Stay tuned for the finish though.
Yeah, we'll post the finish after. And
any questions, leave them down below, and I'm more than happy to answer anything. And stay tuned for our dimensional blonde coming through. Actually, I'm going to teach all a really simple, quick, easy way to add texture, dimension, and break up blocky blondes.
Alright. Thanks, guys.
See ya!
See you next time.